again?
I don't know.
Well,
I would imagine it'd probably be coming soon.
What the
to
fuck?
Disney Plus.
I might have to start watching the Percy Jackson.
We weren't even planning this. Speaking of segue, let's talk about Disney because January 1st, 2024.
That's how in sync we are. Is that I didn't even know you needed
didn't even know, man.
a Disney segue, but I gave you one.
The worst part is this YouTube video. They're not gonna have any context for this. No, I'm kidding. I'll put that part in. Steamboat Willie. So the original version of Mickey Mouse has become public domain, and so there's already a couple. There's a there's a horror movie coming out. It's like a horror comedy called Mickey's Mousetrap, or Mickey's Mousetrap. So it kind of reimagines him as like a horror character. Yeah. And apparently the guy who, when The Grinch became public domain, who made a horror movie, The Mean One, has already said that he is working to make a Mickey Mouse horror movie, which I gotta say, it's weird. All of a sudden, these characters, like Winnie the Pooh's got a horror movie, these characters become public domain, and then someone's like, quick, make it a horror movie.
Well, because it's cheap and quick.
And horror movies always make money.
Yes.
Always make money. Because they're made for cheap. You don't have to spend money on big-name actors, because honestly, they're just fodder. They're just fodder.
Shitload of actors out there who are willing to do shitty bit parts.
If you specifically do like a slasher horror movie, like the actors are just fodder.
We were talking about this earlier. Go and look at Tubi. Okay? And go to Full Moon Features. Okay? And look at all the insane fucking movies that people have actually made and taken time on. And there's like multiple sequels to these movies, like The Ginger Dead Man, Evil Bong, The Ginger Weed Man.
So you know what's funny?
I'm just saying, they were able to find actors for their shitty movie. You're probably going to find actors for your shitty movie.
Exactly.
Aspiring directors.
But I just think it's... Well, first I want to kind of open the discussion about how we feel about Steamboat Willie and the and Minnie, because Minnie, this early version of Minnie.
Yes.
So how this whole thing is working out. So yes, Steamboat Willie specifically became public domain, but you cannot make it look like a modern Mickey. Which
there's a big difference. There's a big difference.
And there's still a whole other thing in copy. Because, sorry, I keep talking over you. What do you want to talk about?
Well, we're talking about like red pants, yellow shoes. He has white. He has parts of his eyes that are white. The original Steamboat Willie does not. He's got his ears are more on top of his head than on the side. And he's got a big hat. They came out with a Steamboat Willie Lego about 2 or 3 years ago. And it was cool because it's in black and white, you know? So like it was really fucking hard to build because like all the pieces were white or gray. And you're just like, fuck, what the fuck? You know, you're like sitting there with like your metal detector. These are plastic. This doesn't fucking work at all. Why did I buy a goddamn metal detector? I'm proud of you for
getting this far to the YouTube video to not swear at the beginning.
Oh, sweet. Thanks, man. Fuck, these are plastic and not metal. Anyway, so I bought that and built it, and it was cool because when you moved it, it was built in such a way it had wheels on the bottom, and when you moved it, the little smokestack would go up and down. And he had a little guitar, and it was a really fun build. I don't have it anymore, but I still have the minifigure. And as far as the cartoon goes, I've seen bits of it. We know that it's the first really modern American cartoon, really. Or at least the best known that has survived, I guess. I don't really know what the significance is. I do know that for its time, it was like groundbreaking. Was it 1939 or?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was 39.
But I grew up. I'm old enough that when I went to movie theaters up until I was about the age of 10, they still had serialized, like they'd replay shit from like the 60s, 50s and 60s, but they would have like Buck Rogers and shit, and they would have a Looney Tunes cartoon, at least the movies I went to, which were probably kiddie movies. But yeah, I mean, it garnered in a 1928 is when it came out.
Okay, so that would make sense.
I just looked it up. But it ushered in an era, I think, of moving pictures. When did talking pictures start? When did movies start having sound?
I don't.
As far as I know.
Let's focus the conversation on public domain. Like that's what I was really talking about, and just like how.
Well, Disney has used hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars spending on lawyers over the last like 3 decades, changing the copyright laws so that none of their characters become public domain. So Disney,
Yeah, this was a whole fight. 'Cause,
yeah,
like
they did not. No,
Steamboat Willie should have been, and all this stuff I feel like should have been public domain a while ago. I think that copyright is so long, it's crazy to me, because I understand the whole idea is like, because it was like 75 years or something like that since the original work. So it's supposed to be like well after the original creator's dead and all that. And I understand, but I think there is some. I feel like this should allow people to open up more to public domain or more of these characters, and maybe we should think about working copyright laws and things like that.
I'll say this. Let me say this. As somebody who has stuff in the out in public, I guess I have stuff out that is mine that I really feel is mine. I don't want it stolen from me, or I don't want it used in any other way except for without my permission. I would hope that my songs will always belong to me and my estate. But I'm aware of the fact that if somehow my music does become popular like 100 years from now, I don't know. I mean, am I going to be mad about that I was forgotten and then 100 years later somebody played my song in a movie or whatever the fuck they have in 100 years?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I'll be
dead.
It's a complicated thing.
It is, but
because
I like Spider-Man belonging to Marvel, I guess, but I think, do you really want that to happen though? I mean, like, would you you want the Star Wars characters to be able to be used by anybody?
But at the same time,
would you?
But at the same time, we're totally fine making Snow White. We're totally fine making. So, like, I think there is something to.
Yeah, but Disney's Snow White is copyrighted. You know what I mean? Like, you can't make a Disney Snow White.
But you can't specifically use that version
or Cinderella or whatever. So they took public domain shit and fucking took it out of the public domain.
So I have a weird thing about it because I agree with you. As someone who is a creator,
yes, you're a creator.
It is a thing of like, I want to have ownership of that because you don't want it to fall
into the wrong hands.
And be like a fucking Nazi.
Yes,
like a Nazi album.
I don't want some shitty presidential candidate using it for their fucking stupid campaign about whatever.
But once you're dead, you're not really gonna care.
Probably not.
So it's one of the few things I'm kind of okay.
But what about your heirs?
Here's the thing. It's one of the few things I'm okay with capitalism. I hate pretty much everything about capitalism. But copyright, is the one thing I feel like I understand the reasoning behind it. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he's public domain, the fact that like the Grinch is public domain, and I'm not saying those are bad things. Great, go make your fucking Winnie the Pooh horror movie. I don't care, because it's just it's so weird. But
can't you just renew your copyright every so often?
Well, in licensing, there's something you can work out probably, but it's all weird. And I'm kind of on the side of like, I feel like if you make something, you should own it. But I also understand after a certain period of time, I'm not going to somebody wants to tell that story, fine. My work is my work. You know what I mean? So, I don't know.
I found this old journal of my dad's, and it's got this thing called the MIA. I'm going to
I feel like we keep talking in circles because it's complicated. Because it's like I understand both sides of the argument. For making it sooner, for making it where it is. I can see both sides.
Well, okay, think about it like this. The flip side of having people with incredible new ideas and new ways of thinking being able to get their hands on like the Star Wars universe or the Marvel universe, the flip side of that, because that would be awesome to like see people who have no chance of ever using those characters in any way, shape, or form being able to, like, that really intrigues me.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is that shitheads like Nerdrotic and shit will also have access to them. And they'll make a bunch of right-wing fucking Spider-Man shits, and you fucking know it, dude. So
But
But 6 and 1/2 does any other, I guess.
yeah, but it is their right to be able to make that.
Fair, I guess.
That's hey man.
Fuckheads.
That's what it's like living with free speech.
Despise their fucking point of view. And
See douchebags that comment on this and say that we're super left. We are, but I want to make a good.
I prefer to call it being a decent human being. You fucking beta cuck.
And we make those videos about those people. I'm not saying they don't have a right to not make them. They can make the videos they want.
No, but they're hypocrites, and they say whatever makes them money, and you're following. It's kind of like being a fan of like Trump. Like, why? He doesn't give a shit about you, and neither does Nerdrotic or any of those other guys. As long as you hit that fucking subscribe button, that's all they give a shit about, and you keep doing it. So, yeah.
I'm interested to find out. I'm interested to find out more about how that's going to work with Disney because they immediately like made a statement like we will protect our copyright. And I'm like, I know you will. I know you will, Disney. I know.
They got the fucking money for the lawyers, dude. Shit.
They've been shit. Like we said, they prolonged this as long as they could.
They've been. I think there was. I read
Mickey
somewhere
Mouse
that Disney is one of the bigger lobbyers on Capitol Hill because they are constantly having to get senators and shit to like sign off on shit to keep their copyright moving longer.
It's because Disney is 100 years old and so is Mickey Mouse.
Well, clearly you can't fucking like renew that copyright, or else why wouldn't they just do that? I mean, doesn't that make sense?
But I
don't know the legalities.
And again, I know what you mean with like Spider-Man and like Marvel with all those heroes or Batman and DC.
We're talking
Superman.
In 40 years. That's going to be 100 years. Oh my god.
Well, Batman's been a character for 80 plus. So I mean,
in about 15 years, 1930 what 9?
You keep going to the start date of World War II. 1939, Poland. Is that when Batman was published?
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
But no,
did you know what DC Comics stands for?
But hey, Warner Brothers has fucked that IP so hard. I would like to see somebody else get a shot at it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And maybe James Gunn will change, and I hope James Gunn will change.
May 1939, fucker.
Well, there you go.
Do you know what DC stands for?
Detective Comics.
Good job.
Don't fucking nerd. Well, actually, me.
So DC Comics is actually Detective Comics.
Yeah, I know. It's stupid.
It's fucking stupid.
Detective Comics.
I like how Marvel calls them the distinguished competition.
Yeah.
It's code word for bitches.
Well, it's like a football rivalry. We're like the team up north. We don't say that. State.
Those dirty whores. Whoa. Why do you got to make it like that, DC?
But I kind of, again, this is complicated for me because, again, I see every side of this argument where I'm like, yeah, I agree that I would prefer if, Marvel and DC had those characters. But at the same time, I would love to see what other people, because like you said, it's really interesting to think what young creative artists could do with these characters, like what somebody could do with where somebody could actually make money off a fan film, essentially, because...
Right, yes. The Star Wars Visions, okay, I wasn't like a super big fan of them, but I liked that Star Wars took a big ballsy chance and said, hey, you know what? We're going to give you, the IP. Whatever you want to do with it, you do it. And we'll put it on the screen, man. And carte blanche, dude. That is huge for IP like Star Wars.
What if I went to him...
Huge.
But what if I went to him and said, listen, Star Wars people.
I want to make a Star Wars porn.
Disney. Yes, but the porn is droids fucking. Really mess with them. Or do we put people in the droid suits and they bang, but they got like...
Okay, so like... Okay, wait.
No, it's a porn parody.
Hear me out.
Weird with it.
Hear me out.
We can't do Star Wars because that was already in a movie.
I'm aware of that. How about this? Okay. You got a bunch of naked people in those big-ass loaders from Aliens, right? That like Ripley was in.
Orgy.
Yes! And because these things are so big, they literally can't touch body parts.
Wait, when does Star Wars become public domain?
I'm writing this shit right now, and it's going to go in a vault. Wait, aren't you combining two IPs? Shut up.
Hey, Jake, why isn't your podcast sponsored? Because we pitched an orgy.
Because we talked about orgies with loaders from Aliens.
I still think droids fucking is like... dude, I need...
Oh,
I need to get the R2D2 scream for when he comes.
What the fuck?
You know?
Wow!
I can't breathe. It's the hardest I've ever laughed on the show.
You didn't know I could do that, huh?
Tyler, I think we had to pause to laugh there.
I had to go to the bathroom. That's how hard I was laughing.
I think what you could best describe what we just talked about,
Mm.
truthfully, would be
real fucked up, kind of bizarre combination of monkey shit.
Off panel, off topic with Jake and Tyler.